Welcome back to Above the Net, an Ashland University Women's Volleyball Coaches Show. I'm Kate Krakenster alongside Coach Katie. Katie, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. So let's talk about the 5 games that you've had since the last time that we had the show. And you guys are 3-2 since our last episode. What'd you learn through those 5 games?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot. People stepped up into different roles, which is good to see. Also, when you face some adversity, it's good. Like, it's not always fun to face the adversity, but I challenged our young women to look in the mirror. I challenged our young women to kind of really self-evaluate themselves and then figure out like what they can do best for this team, and what their role is and how they can really give. And so while it's sometimes difficult to face some adversity and to face some losses, it also is really self-revealing and like team revealing. To be able to kind of work through that and be like, okay, where are the areas where we can grow? Where are the areas where we can improve? What else can I give to the team and how can I be better? And so hopefully we're starting to make a list of some of those and be able to work on those. And there's also some positives. There were some great things that we took out. It's always good to get road wins. We were road warriors, so it's always great to be able to go on the road and get W's in the GMAC for sure.
Yeah, we talked last time about your road trip to Florida. You know, that was non-conference play. You just mentioned it. You guys had, I think it was 3 in a row conference games on the road. You know, when you have to do that and go on the road, especially with a team that's, trying to get some of those freshmen involved, what's it like in the locker room to say, hey, we got these road games, we got a little bit of adversity here. How do we rally the storm?
Yeah, I think it's one thing it's talking about control what you can control. And we talk a lot about that, or what are the things that are in your control? What are the things that are out of your control? And so focusing on the things we can control, like we can't control where we're playing, we can't control how the bus ride is or the van ride is, but we can absolutely control our mindset. We can control how we come in, we can control being a competitor, what we work on and what our focus is. And so I think it's learning, it's growing, and it's a young team. We're very youthful. So figuring out like them also growing, like getting to play in new spaces in front of different crowds. We played in front of a very hostile crowd at Lake Erie and one in Tiffin, and that's good for them. Like, while sometimes it's not always quote unquote fun to go through it, it's really good to see the growth area and just to see their mindset and kind of see them click into being a competitor.
Yeah, we talked about your game on Friday. It was one of your more well-rounded games this year. You guys had 4 players with double-digit digs, 520 hitting percentage. You talk about numbers like that stand out on a sheet. How do you like to see play like that form at this point in the season?
Yeah, it was well-rounded is the best way that you can put it.
Yeah.
We had girls stepped up in key times, and it was different people, and that is awesome to see. It was also awesome to see our back row. There were different people that stepped up in our back row as well, and did an exceptional job. And also from the service line, that's something that we talk about. That's an area that you can control. And so to be able to go back to the service line, focus in, get the other team out of system. It might not always be an ace, but when you can get that other team out of system, that then helps to set your offense up to be more successful as well.
Yeah, and we talk about that first year group for you guys. I mean, I just feel like there's more and more shining through each game. And you talk about having them be ready for the challenge. How have you made sure that each of these freshmen are ready to go?
Yeah, it starts in practice. It starts in getting them as many reps as possible. It also starts in like breeding confidence. Like, you tell them, you put them in positions where they're going to fail and see how they deal with that adversity and failure. But then you also put them in positions where they succeed and they really grow. And you have to highlight that. You have to emphasize that with them. You have to tell them like what they're doing well. And then they keep building, and that's just a momentum for them. But it's been really, really neat to see our freshmen grow and blossom and step in some like really difficult situations. Like, we put Sydney Weicker in a really difficult situation against Tiffin. I didn't sub her in until the 5th set. She came in, got an ace, got multiple digs. Like, that's awesome to see. And I think just putting them in those positions and showing them that I have confidence in them and I know they can do it, and their teammates are all rallying around them, which is really cool to see. They believe in them as well too. And so you just, sometimes you have to do it, and you just have to get those experiences, and the more experience we can get for those young players, the better off that we're going to be end of October into early November.
And a lot of time too, putting those players in those situations, you do it because you know that you have people alongside them to hold them accountable and help lead them forward. And we talk about those veterans,
Yes.
Abby Queen, Raven Morgan, Marin Dixon, how have they really had such a boisterous voice this year in helping make sure that everyone stays accountable?
It's been awesome to see the leadership. And I think I've said this in previous episodes, but this group is just very relational based. They've been working so much on their communication with one another and their relationships with one another. And I just met with 2 of our leaders and just talking about like what they're doing outside of the lines to be able to invest in one another. And like, that's huge that they are taking the time to want to do that. And like that bleeds into what's happening on the court. And so it's really neat to be able to see them. And I think it's cool to see our leaders believe in whoever's on the court, and they're the ones that are saying like, you've got this, you can do this, hey, here's what your role is, here's what you have to do. And I'm not just saying it as a coach, but when your leadership is saying that as well, then it's twofold, and that's really, really cool.
Of course, and you need that, especially in such a tough conference like the GMAC. You guys sit 5-2 right now. How do you feel about that spot you guys are sitting in the conference right now?
Yeah, I think 5-2 is great. I think it's a long conference. It's a lot of matches, and so of course, like you want to win them all. Like that's what we go in and we say, like, the goal is to win every single conference match that we have. But I think it's learning from that adversity. It's learning from some of those losses as well. But I feel good about where we're sitting. We have a long stretch ahead of us. We're getting ready to go into our crossover as well. So we have this weekend, and then we'll hit up the crossover, which is always, it's kind of fun because it's a break from conference. It allows you to play some other teams, and then you get back into the conference hunt again. But we're just excited to be home this weekend. That will be fun to be able to play in front of the home crowd and have 2 matches there.
Yeah, and speaking of this weekend, we got to talk about it. Friday, Morgan's Message game against Ursuline, and then Saturday, it's homecoming.
Yeah.
We talk about those 2 pretty big situations to be in. How are you guys going to get ready for these 2 upcoming games?
Yeah, we're excited. We get the whole week, so we get Monday through Thursday to be able to prep for the matches. We love we don't always get to be home on homecoming, so it's fun for us to get to play at home as well. So hopefully there'll be a good crowd that will come. We love the Morgan Message match. It's special to a number of our young women. And then also we have a signing day, and we have our youth day and homecoming that's happening on Saturday, which will be a big match against Walsh as well. So just being able to be home, being able to be in front of our crowd, continuing to keep working on the things that we want to get better, continuing to grow. And I tell our young women all the time, you take advantage of the opportunities that you get. And it's so cool that we get 2 more opportunities to be able to compete this weekend. And so it's just stepping into that light and stepping into those opportunities.
Yeah, and lastly, how do you make sure that you keep this momentum rolling into the weekend? What are you going to be emphasizing in practice this week?
Yeah, I think emphasizing in practice is discipline. I think discipline is something that we've been talking about, is being disciplined in your role. What's your job? And let's do your job really well. And so you can't take care of other people's jobs. You can't do it for anybody else. You do it for yourself, which then helps the whole team as a whole.
Of course.
And so we are going to talk a lot about what your job is and the basics. Today we're having an individual practice to be able to work on skill set and the basics, going back to that. And then we'll just continue to have the building blocks as we go throughout the week. But I think it's important also to really try to gain the confidence, and the confidence comes from the basics. And so it's working on really speaking confidence into our young women so they believe it, and having that trust to be able to go into this weekend's matches.
Well, perfect, Coach. Thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Kate.
A reminder to come out to Kate's Gymnasium for both games this weekend as the Eagles look to keep conference play moving. Thanks so much for tuning into Above the Net right here on the Eagle Network.